The New Orleans Saints are still looking for their first victory in 1980. And when Archie Manning does the looking, it's usually for his tight end, Henry Child. But a new dimension has been added. Jimmy Rogers, the speedster out of Oklahoma, who rushed for over 100 yards last week. Vince Ferragamo gobbles them up in a hurry. Case in point, this 74-yard touchdown reception by Drew Hill and a touchdown against the Atlanta Falcons. And finally, in the waning moments in their defeat against Atlanta, a 55-yard field goal by Frank Corral came up short. From Anaheim Stadium in Anaheim, California, CBS presents the New Orleans Saints versus the Los Angeles Rams. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully along with George Allen. And, George, a question. How do you prepare your team against a bad team? That's the Ram problem.
Well, simply, Vin, I would never show the opposition at their worst. I would always show them at their best, and if necessary, make training reels to show them at their best.
Well, we asked Ray Malavasi that. What about using films to look at a team that's 0-8? And this was Ray's answer to that.
Well, no, we picked the films that we think are going to help us the most, and in all those films, they were very competitive. In the last 3 ball games at halftime, they were leading, and I think our team realized that. They turned the football over and made mistakes in the second half and ended up losing the ball games, but competitively, they were in there with every team that they had played against. So we look forward to a tough game, and I just hope they keep turning the football over and we get some of them.
Ray Malavasi hopes they will turn the football over. As the coach of the New Orleans Saints, what would you try to do to keep it simple?
Be positive all week. Tell them what a great opportunity they have to win this football game. They can beat the Rams if they play over their heads and not make mistakes.
Well, we'll find out about it right now. Let's go down on the field. And down on the field with referee Jim Tunney looking on, all of the captains, Bryant and Saul, along with Harris and Brooks and Jack Youngblood. And Archie Manning is out there along with Ray Brown, Zanders, Federspiel, and Malty. So in a moment, the toss of the coin. That's Jim Tunney, the referee.
New Orleans has won.
New Orleans has won the toss.
Will receive. Turn around, please. New Orleans has won the toss. Receive. Good luck.
So there's Dick Nolan, the much beleaguered coach of the New Orleans Saints. Nolan, 48 years old, looking for a present today as the Saints come in here 0-8. For New Orleans, we should point out they've never led after the first quarter. However, they have had a couple of close shots of winning. They even led Miami down to the very last play of the game, and there was an offensive interference penalty called that cost them the game. For the Rams, Vince Ferragamo trying to shake loose the ashes of the defeat in Atlanta last week, and it will be interesting to see how Ferragamo bounces back after a somewhat rocky performance against the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, Pat Hayden, who made his visit to the bench last week and stood in the wings and watched Ferragamo falter, once again, Hayden is on the sidelines and ready to come in should Ferragamo have a rocky day. On the sideline, Wendell Tyler. He's been out, of course, with the bad hip. The Rams tell us that when they get their hands on the football, Tyler will not only play today, he is going to start in place of Elvis Peacock. But Frank Corral will first have to get this thing in gear, and he'll be kicking to Rick Malty, and Malty leads the NFC in kickoff returns. He's been averaging better than 25 yards a return. So M-A-U-T-I, Rick Malty out of Penn State. He's the deep man, and he has to come up and let it be handled and kicked on the 12-yard line by Tony Galbraith, and the Rams have it. Galbraith kicked the ball, and George Andrews, number 52, falling on it. Watch this. Here is Tony Galbraith. And Galbraith will not only butcher the catch, he'll then kick it. And he kicked it right to George Andrews, who's down at the bottom of the pile, number 52. And how do you like that for a team that's 0-8, George?
Well, he never caught the ball in his hands. The ball hit his stomach, his chest, and bounced off.
So the big recovery by George Andrews on the muff by Tony Galbraith. And now here come the Rams. 1st and 10 on the 18-yard line. second man, Wendell Tyler, and he's across the 15. So for Wendell Tyler, he returns to the formation. I guess there was some soul searching as to just when and where to use him.
Yes, I had a general rule then that after a player was coming off the injured list, to give him a week before we put him in. Tyler had that week last week against the Falcons. Be interesting to see what he does today. Usually when they first come back, they make a mistake. They fumble, drop a pass.
Second and 6 on the 14-yard line for Ferragamo. And Ferragamo on a second and 6 over the middle to Cullen Bryant, and he dropped it. Well, no reception. Picked up by Ken Bordelon, but no reception. To be Vince Ferragamo.
Quite a trade, and Bordelon's doing a good job for the Saints also.
So it is a 3rd and 6 on the 14 for Ferragamo. Billy Waddy is in motion to the right. And Ferragamo releasing to Cullen Bryant, and he's dragged out of bounds by Bordelon. And he got to the 10-yard line.
Well, the Saints went with a safety blitz here. If we can see it, here it is. The Rams picked it up, forced Ferragamo to go to the back. He did not pick up the first down. Pretty good coverage. Good tackle by Bordelon. Now, this is a big series because they have, to date, prevented the Rams from scoring. If you give them a touchdown here, Vin, after that, it's devastating.
No touchdown. It's Frank Corral going for the field goal. The hold will be at the 17-yard line by Nolan Cromwell. So it's a 27-yard field goal attempt that's up. And there's the easiest 3 points this side of Christmas, thanks to the opening muff of the kickoff by Tony Galbraith. So before the chairs are warm here in Anaheim, Corral now is 9 out of 13. And in the early going, only 57 seconds have elapsed. 3-0, Los Angeles.
Take it easy. You know, I was known for working long and hard during training camp. Why, even after my teammates were asleep, I'd still be out practicing my moves, and that's still important. So I drink light beer from Miller. Light tastes great. It's got a 1/3 less calories than a regular beer, and the best thing is it's less filling. Because listen, I still train the same way as the old days. Practice, practice, practice.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
We call this the Cinder Block Mountain, a tough climb for any 4x4 pickup. And you know that 4x4 gas mileage is an uphill battle. But this is a 1981 Ford. It combines toughness with the best gas mileage ratings of all 6-cylinder 4x4 pickups. And it's the only American-built pickup with independent front suspension to step over bumps independently. Yes, Ford conquers the mountain with the best gas mileage. And it's built for tough.
Well,
Final score.
This is Tony Galbraith, who muffed the opening kickoff. He's not normally there. Earlier in the year, it was Mouty, who is the deep man, along with Rogers and Wilson. But Rogers is now starting as a running back, so Galbraith was in there and dropped the kickoff. Larry Collins just joined the team, and he backs off to see that go out of bounds. Collins, number 43,
Out of bounds.
was originally with Cleveland.
5 yards.
So they're going to have to re-kick it. So it gives you an idea of what's happened in New Orleans. On the left, you have Galbraith, who has not been back there. On the right, you have Collins, who has just joined the team. And then you do have the NFC leader, Rick Morty, who will be standing on about the 5-yard line.
And you know, Vin, as soon as you keep changing that lineup, especially on special teams, the return men, you're going to get mistakes. It's very advantageous to keep the same people back there, even if they're not as fast, maybe they're not doing the job, but at least they don't make mistakes.
Of course, the problem, too, is that Jimmy Rogers is now your #1 running back, and that's what Galbraith is doing, replacing Rogers. So Corral penalized 5 for kicking out of bounds. They tee it up at the 30-yard line. Here is Joe Harris, a great special teams player.
One of the best in the league, was outstanding with the Redskins.
This time, Mouty will get his hands on the ball at the 6. And he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Out of bounds inside the 45 at the 46-yard line of New Orleans. Great return for Rick Morty, #1 in the NFC.
Well, this is the guy they want to handle the returns. They want him to return all that he can. He had good blocking up the right sidelines, made a tackler miss, and now Manning has excellent field position.
So it is 1st and 10 for the Saints on their own 46-yard line. They send Wes Chandler wide right, and they have Ike Harris going the other way. Henry Childs is the tight end. Yeah, Rogers and Wilson, the running backs. They'll try Wayne Wilson inside Fred Sturt's block, and he spins into Ram territory as he is dropped at about the 47-yard line. Wayne Wilson, number 30, along with Jimmy Rogers, who's coming off a 100-yard rushing game last week, and of course the quarterback is Archie Manning. The fellows who will handle the passes, the wide receivers Ike Harris and Wes Chandler. The tight end is Henry Childs. Up front, Taylor, Zanders, Hill, Sturt, and Brock. And that's a first-round draft choice, Stan Brock, starting on the right side. So it is 2nd and 3 on the Ram 47. And here comes Jimmy Rogers, and he is stacked up head-on by Johnny Johnson right at the 45-yard line and dropped there. Talking about Johnson, let's take a look at the Ram defensive linemen, the veterans up front, with Youngblood, along with Cody Jones, Larry Brooks, and Fred Dreyer doesn't figure to play much. He's going to play a couple of downs and come out. Then you have Jim Youngblood along with Jack Reynolds and Bob Brzezinski at the linebacking spots. At the corners, you have Pat Thomas and Rod Perry, and the safeties Johnson and Cromwell. There's Fred Dreyer with a bad ankle, played a couple of plays and then came out. Reggie Doss figures to see a lot of playing time today. 3rd and 1 from the Ram 45. Manning play action fake, good block by Rogers, and the pass upended is Henry Childs. Jimmy Rogers put a great block on Reggie Doss, which brought up a question, George, because they had been telling us that maybe Jimmy Rogers couldn't block.
Yes. He showed his blocking ability and his toughness on that play. Now, this is also a good call. 3rd and 1. He had Childs open. He threw the ball too high.
Russell Ertzleben, who is last among punters in the NFL. He's been averaging only 36 yards a punt, and he arrows one deep that will hit at the 10-yard line and is deflected back to about the 2, and let's see if it's going to be down at about the 1-yard line.
Very good play by the special teams, Saints special teams. Maybe we can see the ball knocked back by number 84, Marty. Tipped it back, right? No, 41.
When you've got to rely on your vehicles, rely on AC-DELCO. AC fire ring spark plugs, AC filters, Delco shocks, and a battery even tougher than the Freedom. The maintenance-free Delco Freedom 2 battery with more efficient starting power. For over 50 years, hard-working people have relied on AC-DELCO parts for just about anything that moves.
AC-DELCO, working hard for you.
And right now, AC-DELCO is making it possible for you to get the Delco Freedom 2 battery on sale at participating outlets.
It's knowing you depend on us. We're gonna solve your problems, yeah, we understand. It's knowing Avis tries so hard, we'll always be right there to lend a helping hand. Yeah, Avis takes the worry out of renting cars, no matter where the road may wind. At Avis, you're leaving your worries behind.
Live, undefeated champion Hilmer Kenty blasts away with Villamar Fernandez for the WBA Lightweight Championship. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
There's Wendell Tyler, last year #1 in the NFL in average per carry, a little better than 5 yards. On the sideline, Elvis Peacock, who is #7 in the NFC, and we'll have to find out about waiting because Wendell Tyler is back, and we'll see how much work he gets today. Tyler and Bryant as they go slot left from the 1-yard line. So Ferragamo pitching back to Cullen Bryant, and Bryant just got out of the end zone, almost surrendered a safety, just did make it. The first man to hit him was safety man Ray Brown.
We have a score here, Ben. St. Louis leading Dallas 17-10 in the 3rd quarter.
Ray Brown figures to see a lot of action for New Orleans. When he was at West Texas State, he was pretty famous as a running back with Dwayne Thomas and Mercury Morris. But right now, he's at the other end doing the tackling. 2nd and 10 from the 1. Ferragamo looked at Waddy, then releases short to Tyler and off Wendell's hand. While we have a moment, let's check Los Angeles offensively. You have Vince Ferragamo with Wendell, Tyler, and Cullen Bryant. The tight end is Victor Hicks, and his wide receivers Billy Waddy and Preston Denard. Up front, Doug France and Kent Hill, Rick Saul, Dennis Harrah, and then Jackie Slater. Defensively for New Orleans, Grooms, Bennett, Moore, and Hart. Up front in the flex, then you have Bordelon, Fetterspiel, and Mathis, the linebackers, Chapman and Waymer at the corners, Brown and Myers the safety. So it'll be 3rd and 10 from the 1. Ferragamo with several receivers flooding the right side, but he leads Billy Waddy too much. So ironically, even though the Rams are leading and they've had the ball, they haven't moved the ball at all.
No, they haven't, and he's had time to throw. Pretty good protection. Both of his passes have been high, overthrown. Of course, they had good coverage. Atlanta put some pressure on the Rams. They came from behind and beat Buffalo 30-14.
Standing right at the 45-yard line is Rick Maudie, and looking up into the sun, not an angel up there. It's a bright blue sky. Maudie, number 1 in kickoff returns. He is also 3rd in punt returns. He's averaging a little better than 10 yards a return. So Frank Corral in the shadow of the goal nubs it out of there. It's going to hit at the 30-yard line and scurry out of bounds at the 34-yard line. What about that kick, George?
Well, Frank kicked that like he would put a quick kick, end over end. He looked like he rushed himself. He had plenty of time. Big break for the Saints.
Motorcraft for sure. Motorcraft for sure.
How do you make the great lineup of Motorcraft parts even better? You've already got batteries with Sure Power, hot firing spark plugs, and a full line of filters. So how do you make it better? Just add oil. Introducing Motorcraft Oil, formulated to stabilize oxidation and reduce wear. Rated SF, it meets the most advanced engineering standards set for the 80s. You can be sure of it.
Motorcraft for sure.
Outside, the Canon NP200 may look like any small copier, but inside there's a world of difference, a world of micronics,
where 20 copies a minute are not only possible, but made reliable with a microcomputer. Fiber optics precisely defines your image, and a toner projection system gives you clear copies on virtually any paper.
Up to 11 by 17. Compact in size and price, the Canon NP200 is definitely worth looking into.
Dracula's coming to New York, and his style is irresistible. George Hamilton and Susan St. James star in Love at First Bite, Wednesday night. Good evening.
For the second time in this quarter, New Orleans in good field position. The first time they got the ball after the Rams had scored on the field goal, they put it in play on their own 46. Now, following the punt by Corral, they have it 1st and 10 on the Ram 34. It's 3-0 in favor of Los Angeles, but the Saints now in a golden position. You have Chandler go wide left, Harris goes wide right, and Childs the tight end on the right side. Rodgers and Wilson are the running backs, and they're going to go to Wilson into a crowd, and he fights to the 30-yard line, so he picked up 4 yards. There, of course, is the score that would weigh heavily on the Rams if they got into trouble here.
Atlanta looks like they're for real because they beat Buffalo in Buffalo and came from behind.
Meanwhile, in what was almost a shocker, and even the closeness of the score makes it a shocker, Pittsburgh held on to edge Green Bay 22-20. 2nd and 7 from the 30-yard line for the Saints, trailing 3-0 in the early going. And then on a draw to Jimmy Rodgers, and the Rams read it. Reggie Doss has him, and down he goes. So they're still not looking for the touchdown.
No.
They're handing off.
I thought after that great field position, he might go for it on 1st down, play action, and try to get the big play. You know, last week, they picked up 220 yards rushing, so they have a little more confidence probably in their running game, and that takes the pressure off of Archie Manning. But you aren't going to beat the Rams running the football.
San Francisco losing to Sims and Company 17-13. Manning has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns, which is certainly a black mark on his report. 8 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Archie sidearming it in and out of the hands of the intended receiver Chandler and dropped at the last minute by Rod Perry.
Wow.
Was that a funny delivery by Manning that time?
He threw it sidearm. He threw it behind his receiver. The receiver was covered very well by Perry. He threw it to get away from the rush. Perry almost intercepted that. Watch him. Going down, he almost picked it off.
So Benny Ricardo, a free agent from Detroit who at one time ran a women's boutique in San Diego. He went to school at San Diego State. So Ricardo with a hole by Myers, and the spot will be at the 37-yard line. So a 47-yard field goal attempt is up, and it is way wide. So Ricardo, who was 7 out of 8, misses, and actually he had 7 straight in his first 4 games. He missed last against Atlanta, and he's been struggling ever since. So a bad team not getting any better. It's 3-0 Los Angeles.
Super automotive values from Sears. Get power to start. Get power to spare. Get the Sears 48. Now only $44.99 with trade-in, our lowest price of the year. You save $10. The Road Handler tires are on sale. Save 20% on Sears Best Radio for large or small cars, like the Road Handler for compact cars, as low as $34.36 each. At Sears, where America shops for value.
Company's coming, so save at Sears pre-holiday home improvement sale. Get this Craftsman gas chainsaw that's lightweight yet powerful. Now $189.98, including case. Save $45. This Sears Best Craftsman 10-inch table saw, miters, bevels, rips, and crosscuts, and has a motor that develops 2 horsepower. Now $299.99 with leg set and extensions. Save $120. On sale now at Sears, where America shops for value.
See the cheerleaders go from the sidelines to the front lines in the battle of the NFL cheerleaders. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
We mentioned a bad team not getting any better. Here's a case in point. Where was Tom Myers?
Myers was late getting on the field. The clock almost ran down, and Ricardo hurries himself. It isn't all his fault.
So bad teams continue to find ways of losing, and the Rams have it 1st and 10 on their own 30-yard line. Out of the eye, Tyler, the deep man with Bryant in motion. And they'll try Wendell. And Meyer can't hold on to him. Moore can't get him. And finally, Eloise Grooms brings him down. But Tom Myers had him behind the line of scrimmage. Just to update you on some scores, Tampa Bay got well, knocked off the Giants 30-13. San Diego defeating Cincinnati 31-14, even though they left Chuck Muncie home because he missed a practice this week. Baltimore defeated Kansas City 31-24. Meanwhile, over on the Ram bench, Jim Youngblood has been banged up, and he is resting. The Rams have it 2nd and 9 on their 31-yard line. So Tyler picked up 1 on that last carry. Cullen Bryant kind of backing into a heap that time. He just turned his back on it.
You know, looking at the film of last week's game with the Redskins, the Saints defense played pretty well. They held the Redskins to 5 field goals. Mark Mosley kicked 5 field goals, and they only got 1 touchdown. Now, to date, so far in this game, Ben, they've played well. To hold the Rams to a field goal after that opening fumble is good defense.
And, of course, the problem is it's a hot day, and the longer the New Orleans defense stays out there on the field, eventually you get to the breaking point. 3rd and 8 on the Ram 32. Ferragamo with both backs releasing and misleading Wendell Tyler, led him too much. So again they stiffen.
Wendell didn't run the best route. Wendell kind of stopped. Ferragamo expected him to keep coming. He overthrew him. I'm sure Wendell, coming back after the layoff, was wary of those linebackers.
So Wendell Tyler getting his feet wet today in a starting role over Elvis Peacock. Ferragamo is 1 for 5 for a total of 4 yards. Frank Corral, who last kicked out of the end zone, out of bounds at the 34, once again kicking to Rich Moty. So Marty standing on the 21-yard line of the Saints. Corral has had one punt blocked this year, and this would be his 37th punt of the year, and he got this one away. Almost a line drive, and Marty will take it at the 28. Running into a pack of Rams shy of the 35. They drop him at the 34.
Ben, that was a very high snap, and we've got an interesting sequence to watch. Dennis Hare, number 60, is playing his first full game at guard, and he's doing all the snapping today. Hot weather, covering kicks, could take its toll.
So the Saints will put it in play. First and 10, just shy of the 35-yard line. Ike Harris goes wide left. Wes Chandler goes wide right. Henry Childs on the left side, and it's Wilson and Rogers out of the eye. Play action fake to Rogers. They keep Brooks out, and another bad pass. I don't know whether Manning, of course, he has had 2 shoulder operations a couple of years ago, and I have no idea whether he has a sore arm or whether he's just become somewhat of a sidearm passer.
Well, he's always thrown a little bit 3/4, Ben. What he does on this, he steps up to get away from the rush and throws the pass moving forward. He wasn't really set. Now watch him step up. He'll step up right here, and he's throwing the ball moving forward a little bit and throws it nose down. No chance.
It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 35. Harris left, Chandler right. Same formation. Now they have Rogers and Wilson split. And they'll try Rogers inside Hill, and buried at the last minute. Johnny Johnson came up to drill him shy of the line of scrimmage.
Well, Rogers had a big game last week, and as I said earlier, you're not going to run much against this Ram defense.
A couple of more scores. St. Louis leading Dallas 17-13. Dallas number 1 in the NFC in points scored, so they're yet to be heard from. Seattle leading a bruised Philadelphia team 3-0 in the first. 3rd and 11 for Archie Manning. Rogers the sole back. Tinker Owens is in there now, and a flanker on the left side. And Manning misleading Henry Childs, so he's not throwing the ball right yet.
No, he had Childs open. A good pass. Childs was one-on-one. A good pass would have been completed. Archie's feeling the pressure of the Ram defense. They've had field position. They haven't taken advantage of it.
Here's Russell Erxleben out of Texas. He had a bad thigh last year, put on the injured reserve list, and deep is Mike Gooman, number 44, and Gooman is going to have to play this cautiously as it takes a Saints bounce and goes down inside the Ram 20, and that's where it'll stop, right at the Ram 20-yard line.
There's an example of a bad punt that you can't field. With the roll, it turns out to be a good punt.
We can duck in a few more scores since our game is just starting and a lot of them winding up and also beginning. For instance, New England 14-0 over the Jets in the first. Jets really banged up. Denver leading Houston 3-0 in the first. And Oakland behind Jim Plunkett leading Miami 6-0. Elvis Peacock has now come back into the backfield with Cullen Bryant. So Wendell Tyler was used early, and they'll sit him down again. Preston Denard goes left, and Billy Waddy goes right. Play action fake to Peacock, and Ferragamo setting up to go deep over the middle, in and out of the hands of Billy Waddy.
Had him open, then threw it high.
So to give you an idea, we have seen 10 passes in this game and only 1 catch.
Good call, play action, plenty of time, the ball's high, and a little bit behind Waddy. That's the type of pass that's intercepted. The ball that's tipped when it's high, deflected, the defender has a chance to intercept it.
But Wendell Tyler, sitting on the sidelines, averaged better than 5 yards a carry last year, then was in that terrible automobile accident. There were some folks who questioned even his career. Happy to see that he's back and able to play even for a little bit. On a draw to Elvis Peacock. He goes inside Bryant's block. Fumble! And the Saints have let it get away. Fetterspiel had it, and the Rams would appear to have fallen on the ball.
The Saints had it?
Yep, Joe Fetterspiel had it, but he couldn't hold on to it.
And lost it. One of the...
Denard. Preston Denard is now, watch this bounce, and you'll see Fetterspiel appear to pick it up. Here's 58 Fetterspiel rolling and it got away from him. And now Bordelon couldn't pick it up. It got away from two more Saints, and finally double eights. Preston Denard made the recovery in that melee, and they wind up spotting the ball on the Ram 42, so they pick up 22 yards on that play. Cullen Bryant hit on the side by Grooms, and down he goes. Friends, this telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Rams and the National Football League is prohibited. So the Rams have moved it out to midfield. It'll be 2nd and 8 for Ferragamo. And he's going to try and bite off a bunch in a hurry. Going to the right side, the reception by Preston Denard, and he steps out of bounds at the 33-yard line. And they were picking on the rookie out of Notre Dame, David Waymer.
And there's a dog on this play, and there's a flag on this play.
And the preliminary signal, it would appear it's against the Rams. We'll listen to Jim Tunney, the referee. We can also say, along with Jim, you have Pat Harder, the umpire, Bert Toller, the head linesman.
Holding, 72, 10 yards, still 2nd down.
So a 10-yard penalty for holding against Cantor Hill on the left side of center Rich Saul. The other officials, Dick McKenzie, Pat Knight, Gil Mace, and Don Hakes. So 2nd and 18 for the Rams on the Ram 40-yard line.
327!
Denard is left, and Drew Hill is wide right. Ferragamo deciding to run laterally and then throwing it to the tight end Victor Hicks, who takes a bump and is knocked out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Tom Myers, the safety man, came over to knock Victor Hicks out of bounds.
Well, you know, Ferragamo's not known as a scrambler, but he has enough agility to get away from the rush, find the open man, throws a good pass, gets the 1st down. Good play by Ferragamo.
So undaunted by the penalty, they had a 1st and 10 on the 42. Then they were pushed backwards to the 38, and they have come right back again now to put it in play. 1st and 10 is Ferragamo. You can see his numbers. Waddy is right, and Denard goes left. Play action fake to Peacock, and Ferragamo going deep to Waddy. Billy Waddy hit the goalpost, a glancing blow. He took it away from Clarence Chapman, and Waddy might have hurt his right knee. For Billy Waddy, his 2nd touchdown of the year, but he might have had to pay a very expensive price for it.
Well, here it is, play action, 1st and 10. That's when you want to run play action on a running down. Pretty good protection. Throws the bomb, lets him run underneath it. Good catch and stayed in bounds, and he just got a glancing blow. He used his left arm to push off of the goalpost. Push off of the goalpost, and of course the padding there is going to protect him. Watch him push off. Just a glancing blow. Maybe hit his knee.
Well, it is definitely a knee that was twisted. And the crowd reacting now. Dr. Clarence Shields alongside Billy Waddy, who comes off under his own power. So Billy Waddy from Colorado, who suffered broken teeth in the St. Louis game just a couple of weeks ago, almost has a collision with the goalpost, but he's okay. So it is 9-0 Rams. Corral has kicked 26 out of 27, improved that by 1. So we have 5 minutes and 35 seconds left to go in the first quarter here at Anaheim. Billy Waddy is okay on the Ram bench, and so are the Rams. The Rams leading 10-0. And of course the Rams spurred on by the fact that the Atlanta Falcons, trailing 14-0, came back to defeat Buffalo in Buffalo.
In Buffalo. Falcons are for real. Ferragamo is opening up like he should. He's got the protection. He's got the fine offensive line. He knows he can throw deep. this is what he's doing now. Archie Manning has been very conservative. He's had field position.
Oh, has he ever?
He's run the football, and they haven't done a thing.
The last time the Saints had the ball, they had it on the Ram 34, and they couldn't go anywhere.
Couldn't pick up a first down.
So Frank Corral will kick from the 35. Meanwhile, we're keeping tabs on the Dallas Cowboys. We told you they lead the NFC in scoring. They were trailing the last time we heard, and look at that. Dallas now out in front 20-17.
Yeah, 78-yard interception by Dennis Thurman to put Dallas ahead.
Rich Maudie from the 2-yard line to the 15, and he is hit and dropped at the 20-yard line. Lucius Smith, number 23, hit him at the 20-yard line and dropped him. Vince Ferragamo and Bob Lee having a little chat on the sidelines. And on the field, an injured player, Leroy Irvin, number 47. And we also, Rich Maudie, who had handled it. Maudie hurt his hand or wrist. It's a bad day for both sides. Let's take another look at that. Here's Maudie. There's Lucius Smith hitting him. He is also hit hard by George Andrews. And then perhaps somebody stepped on him in that pile.
It's hard to tell. You can't tell what happened is.
Take another look behind the wedge. Here comes Maudie. Look at Andrews. Double team, spun off. Still got his shoulder in there, along with Jeff Delaney, Carl Eckern, and at the bottom, Lucius Smith.
Earlier in the broadcast, Vin, you said Maudie was leading the league, one of the leaders in the league. Well, when you're 0-8, you get a lot of opportunities to return kicks. It's like leading the league in double plays.
Of course, he's leading not so much in opportunity,
average
but
as
in
well.
yardage.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he's a good man, but you get plenty of opportunities to break one, and usually you get a long one in there, and that brings your average up.
Billy Waddy, well, and listening to Ferragamo, Lucius Smith, who made the tackle, was shaken up, as was Leroy Irvin and Rich Maudie. There is Irvin. He's the rookie from Kansas. He was a third-round draft choice for the Ram this year. Good-looking young prospect.
Let's see what Archie does on first down.
So 1st and 10 on the Saints' 21-yard line. Rodgers and Wilson behind Manning. You have Harris wide right, Chandler wide left.
419.
And he finally has Henry Childs at the 40-yard line. So the tight end makes the reception, and they pick up 19 yards and a first down.
Well, that was well executed. He fakes the draw to the fullback. Watch him go up, set up, faking the draw to the fullback, takes the pressure off. He likes Henry Childs over the middle. He's open, good pass. Childs spins away, picks up some additional yardage.
So on a 19-yard pickup, it's 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line of New Orleans. The Rams leading 10-0. Wilson and Rodgers, and they'll try Rodgers with Wilson trying to block, and he fumbled, and it's recovered by Johnny Johnson of the Rams, and Johnson still at the 30, dragged down from behind by J.T. Taylor.
Well, Ben, if we wonder why the Saints are 0-8, they're self-destructive. Here they have good blocking, good play, picked up some yards. Look how he's carrying the football. Actually, he lost it even before he was hit. I think he may have jarred it loose with his leg.
Take another look, holding it with the right hand. Now, as he's hit from the side, he already had dropped it.
So that's called beating yourself, and that's really demoralizing to your defense.
So it is 1st and 10 on the New Orleans 27-yard line. Another gift to Los Angeles. Ryan and Peacock out of the eye, and it's Elvis Peacock stepping over people across the 20 and fighting Ray Brown to a standstill at about the 17-yard line.
Well, it's nice to play quarterback in this situation. You're ahead 10-0. You can run or pass. All you got to do is execute, and you're going to be in field goal range or score a touchdown.
You know, the Saints are within one game of their team record of 9 consecutive losses, having lost all 8 this year, and it looks like they're equal to the opportunity. 2nd and 1 on the 18. Travis Peacock. And he's inside the 10. Tom Myers had him at the 15-yard line, but he got away from Myers.
You know, Ben, in most of these games recently, the Saints have played well the first half. Last week, this is what we call a Baltimore late form of a draw. Good call in here. Last week, they were only behind 9-7. The week before, they were ahead of Atlanta 14-13. They've never been blown out in the games we saw in the first quarter.
Well, it's 1st and goal on the Saints' 9-yard line. Peacock and Bryant behind Ferragamo. Here comes Cullen Bryant. And he's to about the 5. It will not be any consolation to the Saints to know the Rams, second to Dallas in points scored, have done the bulk of their work in the second quarter. And here they are with a chance to lead by 17 in the first quarter.
And most of it, not all, but most of it because of Saint mistakes.
In case you joined us a little late, Tony Galbraith dropped the opening kickoff. It was recovered by the Rams on the Saints 18, and eventually Corral had a field goal. The Saints unable to move the ball at all. The Rams hit on a touchdown to Billy Waddy. And now Jimmy Rogers fumble, and the Rams are in business again. 2nd and goal from the 4. And upended is Cullen Bryant. Washington submarined him. A flag on the play.
I think too much time. The Rams substituted. They brought in Pankey. 2 tight ends. That's what it is. That's the trouble with sending in plays. If they don't get in there in a hurry and the quarterback takes a little time, you're fighting that clock.
A legal procedure, and it was Herb Pankey, number 75. They bring in Waddy and Denard again, so Waddy evidently fine with his brush. There is Denard, number 88, and on the other side of the huddle is Billy Waddy. Ray Malavasi had a 5-game winning streak snapped last week against Atlanta. Ray would like to start building a new one today.
27!
With Bryant and Peacock in front of him, the pass to Billy Waddy all alone.
And you know what, Ben? If we see that again, he could run the ball as well. He didn't even have to throw. Good call by Ferragamo. Now watch. Nobody forcing the play at all. He did the wise thing, threw the ball wide open. There it is. Here it is again from a better angle. No Saint forcing the play at all. Look. Now he's coming up late. 56, Mathis. Easy score.
So Billy Waddy, who had 1 touchdown catch this year, has caught 2 in the last couple of minutes. Corral picks it through. Well, we just started with 2 minutes and 56 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The Rams are leading the hapless New Orleans Saints 17-0.
Well, it's really a morale thing now. They have to regroup or they're going to get blown out completely. On a rollout, somebody has to force the quarterback right away. You can't let him get around, because now you have to defense the run and the pass.
And of course, for the Saints, getting clobbered here in the early going, they play Philadelphia next week, then Atlanta, and then the Rams again.
Well, you know, Dick Nolan and his staff are doing everything they can. When you make all these mistakes, there's not much a coach can do about that.
You know, one of their better players, Rick Mauti, suffered an elbow injury, and so Jimmy Rogers will have to go back and be the deep man. Mauti on the sidelines. There is Dick Nolan trying to keep his youngsters in the ball game, but they're in danger of being blown out. Boy, it must be tough. There's Dennis Harrah, big guy with the Rams, who's been very busy.
He has a big job today, doing all the snapping and playing full time.
Frank Corral kicking to Jimmy Rogers from about a yard in the end zone. He got by Leroy Smith, but he is buried at the 15-yard line. So Joe Harris, your special teams man, hustling down there on that kickoff, George.
Joe loves to play the special teams. He's always hustling. He's very physical. He gets rid of the blocker. Comes in. Watch him lower the boom. Makes the tackle. He's the principal tackler on the play.
So it is 1st and 10 for the Saints on their own 15-yard line. Chandler goes right, Harris goes left, and we'll see what Manning does. In motion is Ike Harris. And stacked up behind the line of scrimmage, Larry Brooks drops Wayne Wilson at about the 12-yard line. The big Larry, 6'3", 253 in there to make the stop.
Well, Larry Brooks sheds the blocker, penetrates, needs some head on. It's a wonder he didn't fumble. Again, the Saints have had difficulty all year running that football. Last week they broke the 200-yard mark. Nobody runs well against the Rams defense.
So Manning now on a 2nd and 12 from the 13. On a draw to Wayne Wilson. Wilson gets out across the 20-yard line to about the 23. Jimmy Johnson, 1 of 2 to hit him. Also Pat Thomas.
You know, Vin, if you have to get behind, it's nice to be behind when you're early because you got some time to pick it up.
So Wayne Wilson comes out.
Well, if you get behind, it's in the 4th quarter, you run out of time. The Saints got a lot of time. 17 points isn't a lot of points under the present rules of pro football.
So it's a 3rd and 3 for Archie Manning. The ball on the Saints 22-yard line. Tinker Owens is in motion, picked up by Nolan Cromwell. And almost intercepted by Rod Perry. It was intended for Ike Harris. So Manning, who does not seem to be under that much of a rush, but is just not passing crisply.
He's pressing a little bit, and there's a lot of pressure on him. You can't run the football, you have to throw it. You have to throw it against one of the best defenses in all of football.
Well, Mike Gooman, number 44, will go deep for the Rams. And Ertzlaman getting his kick away. Gooman signaling fair catch at the 41-yard line. And that's where the Rams will put it in play. Let's check some more scores now before the Rams try to move the football once more. And look at that. Seesaw as the Cardinals have taken a 24-20 lead.
Hart threw a 34-yard touchdown pass to Mel Gray for that lead.
And we can see Minnesota blanking Washington 17-0. And we're not double sure of the 17.
Yeah, the score I think is 14-0. Steve Dills is playing quarterback today.
Seattle is leading Philadelphia on 2 field goals, 6-0. So the Rams 1st and 10 on the Ram 42-yard line, and they're leading 17-0. Cullen Bryant ran into Derlin Moore right at the 40-yard line, and Moore dropped him, and we have a couple of more scores. New England having a field day at the expense of the New York Jets, 17-0. Denver leading Houston 6-0 in the second quarter.
That's a surprise.
And Oakland leading Miami 9-3. The resurgence of the Raiders and Jim Plunkett. That's some scoring.
That's the difference. Jim Plunkett.
2nd and 11 from the 41. In motion is Cullen Bryant. And a little release to Elvis Peacock. So Elvis Peacock goes all the way.
Well, you got to give Ferragamo a lot of credit on this play. He was dogged. Watch the dog. He was blitzed. Somebody's right in his face, and he dumps it off to his outlet man, Peacock. Good running, good blocking. You got to play those swing backs tight. The way the quarterbacks are dumping them off, dumping passes off to the backs, you got to play them real tight. The Saints played them too loose.
So Elvis Peacock on a 59-yard burst. Peacock handling that little release from Ferragamo. That's the 7th touchdown that Peacock has picked up this year.
He gets credit for a touchdown pass, a 5-yard pass.
And a 54-yard run. So here is Corral trying to make it 24-0, and that's what it is. Well, take another look at the play. One man had one shot. It's Federspiel coming up, number 58. Watch this now.
Took the wrong angle, man.
And he couldn't get him, and the play was all over.
You got to take an outside-in angle. He came from the inside with a dog. He had Peacock in the flat. You got to latch right onto him, plaster yourself to him real tight, not make an open field tackle.
So the first quarter has completely disintegrated. Let's be honest about that. It is 24-0 in favor of the Rams. Further bad news for the Saints. Rich Maude has a fracture just above the elbow and naturally will not return.
And you know, Ben, the interesting thing is that the Saints have not had many injuries this year. You know, some teams like Pittsburgh playing poorly because they got 4 or 5 All-Pros out. But the Saints have been relatively free of injuries.
Well, Jimmy Rogers, who took over as a running back, is now back to handle kicks, and that looks like the busiest job for the Saints today. Rogers from the 1 to the 15, hurtling across the 20 and almost landed at the feet of Joe Harris at about the 23-yard line. Take another look at that hurdle. Jimmy used to block at Oklahoma. Watch him go up.
I tell you
and
what,
over.
I like the way Vinny's carrying that ball. He's got that ball protected. He shouldn't fumble it when you carry it that way.
So the Saints will put it in play, 1st and 10 on their own 24-yard line. And Archie Manning finds himself buried under a 24-0 score in the first quarter. Play action fake to Rogers. Manning gives it to Wilson, and Brzezinski and Perry push him out of bounds. He got up to about the 33-yard line.
You know what the Rams defense can do now, Ben? For the rest of the ball game, they're ahead 24-0 in the first quarter. For the rest of the ball game, they can play pass rush and pass defense. And you know, it's tough to get sacks under the new rules. You know, the offensive linemen using their hands, it's very difficult to get sacks. But those 4 guys, those 4 rushmen, can tee off and jet charge and go after Manning.
Go to 2nd and 1 from the 33. And the Saints go slot left. Harris is inside Chandler. Wayne Wilson is across the 35 out to the 40-yard line. Nolan Cromwell brought him down, but he picked up the first down as the Saints try to make some kind of a showing here, and the first quarter is history. At the end of the first quarter, compounded by New Orleans mistakes, the Rams are leading 24-0.
Lincoln Mercury introduces the totally new Lynx. Its hemispherical head engine, advanced transmission, and aerodynamic shape combine to produce exceptional fuel efficiency. Starting today, the world belongs to an American car. Starting today, the world belongs to Lynx.
I make one trick shot in a light beer commercial, and everybody thinks they know how to shoot pool. So these guys decided to take me on to shoot a little pool and drink a little light beer from Miller. Because it's less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Let's quit talking and start chalking.
You break, Bubba.
Sure, I haven't broken anything all day.
Hey, Mickey, what happened? It's a mystery to me. You show him, Rodney.
Yeah, show him.
You guys got me all wrong. I think light tastes great, too. But when you're shooting pool, the only thing you want to get filled up is the pot. 14 6-ball combination.
Steve, how do you do that?
Practice, practice, practice.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
The NFL on CBS. Today's game is sponsored by Ford Trucks. The trucks built Ford tough and built for fuel economy. And by Light Beer. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.
It's the start of the second quarter. And, of course, the Trojans, the University of Southern California, and the marvelous Trojan band are here with us today. The Trojans coming off a big victory yesterday where they piled up over 60 points. There they are. The Trojan band serenading before and at halftime. So the Saints trying to get a move on. And Archie Manning as his receiver, and it is the big tight end Williams at midfield. Jack Reynolds brings him down.
And Williams did something smart. He came back. Reynolds was right with him. He came back for the ball so he could receive it. You know, I can't remember a game, Vin, where, and I'm sure it's happened, though, where one team had 24 points in the first quarter. Can you?
No, and I tell you, it's a thoroughly forgettable first quarter. 2nd and 1. The ball is just shy of midfield. Rodgers and Wilson behind Manning. Jimmy Rodgers burrows for the first down. So the Saints will have it 1st and 10 on the Ram 49-yard line.
You know, Ben, having had Billy Kilmer and Bob Brunet from down in Louisiana, the fans down there are so great. They're just so loyal to this team and have supported this team over the years that they really deserve a championship team, a playoff team.
And you know, looking at them last year, it looked like they were going in the right direction.
Yes, we did 2 games and they played very well.
1st and 10 on the Ram 49-yard line. Chandler right and Harris left. Rodgers the deep man out of the eye. And Archie into some heat sets up a screen to Rodgers, and he is boxed in by Nolan Cromwell and dropped at the 45-yard line. Good play by Nolan Cromwell.
Yes, exactly. A fine open field tackle by Nolan Cromwell off of play action. Nolan tackled him high, went right around the waist. Good rush by Jack Youngblood. Now watch Cromwell make this tackle on Rodgers, who has locked his arms right around the waist. You don't miss there. Rodgers has 4.5 speed.
Nolan is tied with John Turner in Minnesota for the most interceptions in the NFC, 5. So he can beat you both ways. Play action fake to Rodgers. And Manning all alone is Ike Harris at the 20, and Cromwell drops him at about the 16-yard line. Ike Harris wide open.
Well, that's what Manning has to do. He has to throw the football. Looks like there's a flag down.
And the preliminary signal would indicate it is against New Orleans, possibly a holding penalty to wipe out that completion.
Well, that's a tough break. They need a big play in here.
Number 67, 2nd down.
That's Brock, their first-round pick.
Number 67 for New Orleans is a rookie out of Colorado by the name of Stan Brock. He was a first-round draft choice this year. What makes it interesting as you see him holding, there he is at the top of your picture. His brother Pete was a #1 draft choice out of Colorado 4 years ago, and he's the center for the New England Patriots. So 2 brothers, 2 first-round picks. 2nd and 16 on the 45, and they go to Rodgers around the left side, and he takes a horrendous hit. Jim Youngblood, number 53, shook him all the way back to Louisiana.
And going back to Brock, he's trying to block Jack Youngblood, an all-pro. He has a real assignment. There's no better defensive end in football than Jack Youngblood. A good hit there by Jim Youngblood. Jim Youngblood was questionable today. Did you know that, Vin?
Yes, I had read that he had a bad leg. We saw him sitting on the sideline. Fred Dreyer is on the sidelines. He played a couple of plays. He has a bad ankle. And Pat Hayden, naturally, on the sidelines and quite unhappy about it. 3rd and 7 on the 46 of the Rams. In motion is Ike Harris. Tinker Owens and Wes Chandler all on the left side. And intended for Chandler, with Owens the front man. Pat Thomas slowly getting up.
Well, the timing on the play didn't develop. But Manning's doing what he has to do. This is a type of ball game where you have to throw 50 passes. You have to take advantage of the rules. You're behind 24 points. You aren't going to catch up handing off.
Talking about a first-round draft choice, Russell Erxleben is only the 4th kicker ever to go on the first round. And a fair catch by Gooman, and the ball will go out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Erxleben was picked along with Ray Guy. Charles Gogol was picked along with Ray Guy, Charles Gogolak, and Steve Little, as you see Archie Manning on the sidelines trying to figure out how to regroup and get back into the ball game. 24-0 Rams.
Here's another Radio Shack telephone sensation, and lucky you, it's on sale for only $39.88. Super small size, and the push-button dial has a memory button that automatically redials busy numbers. Of course, it has an extra long 16-foot cord. And watch this. Its hang-up is a put-down. You save even more when you own your own phone. And it's built and sold only by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
3 long days on the road taught you all that I know. Then you taught me something about milk. 20 miles left to go with our cash getting low. Don't have much, just enough to go for some milk. Good call, son, the milk tastes fine. Why don't you lead the way this time? Now more than ever is the time for milk.
We have 11 minutes and 43 seconds to the half. The Rams doing everything right. Not so for the Saints, and it's 24-0 in favor of Los Angeles. The Rams now putting it in play from their own 9-yard line. Billy Waddy, in fact, it's Drew Hill that goes right, and Willie Miller goes left. So Waddy is not in there, neither is Denard. Elvis Peacock gets out to about the 13-yard line. It would appear as if the Saints have been on defense all day ever since Tony Galbraith muffed the opening kickoff.
This type of first quarter takes a lot out of your defense. What it does, it breaks the spirit. You come in, you have a chance to play a good game, and you give them easy scores, so it breaks your morale down. So if you don't have some character, you're going to get run out of the ballpark.
Well, it is 2nd and 6 on the 13-yard line for Ferragamo as the Rams go slot left. Elvis Peacock brought down. Kovac hit him at the 15-yard line.
And, you know, then he made the play on the first down. Number 52, Kovac, made the play on both downs.
You know, by the way, Jim Kovac, a Phi Beta Kappa. He goes to Kentucky Medical School. He is quite a bright young man, number 52, a 4th-round pick 2 years ago.
He played his play perfectly. Shed the blocker, came up from an inside-out angle because the contained man turned him in.
A Phi Beta Kappa, that really makes you shake your head.
That's unusual.
So Ferragamo over the middle, no good. And the intended receiver, Willie Miller, and he was really drilled by Ray Brown.
I like Ray Brown, and I think he's a fine, strong safety. I liked him when he was with the Falcons. He comes to play. He's very physical. He reminds me a little bit of Kenny Houston of the Redskins.
He had played in 126 straight games until he suffered a broken arm, Ray Brown. But Frank Corral, along with Ray Malavasi, elected to have Corral do all the punting and the kicking, and it is done well. Corral averaging 41 yards a punt, his longest 64. Ferragamo taking a breather on the sideline. Dennis Harrop, who was on the field, is now coming off. And apparently Dennis Harrop, problem with his right arm.
And Rich Saul will go in to make the snap. Let's watch the snap.
Rick Saul, 11-year veteran from Michigan State, will have to be the snapper.
He hasn't been doing it.
Stay out, Lucius, stay out.
Nice snap.
And Corral arrows it down to the 40-yard line. Handled there by David Waymer. And Waymer is drilled, fumbled, and the Rams recovered. Recovered by Joe Harris. That's Delaney trying to get him, and he can't. Coming up now.
See, what happens, you got a guy returning punts.
Ivory Sully hit him.
That hasn't been doing the job. It's like having a third baseman play shortstop. You get people doing things that they haven't been trained to do. Instead of having the ball at the 50, they give the Rams the ball again, and they're still on defense.
So David Waymer fumbles, Joe Harris recovers, and the Rams set up shop again on their own 47-yard line. So the Rams evidently can do no wrong. Not today, not against New Orleans. And Ferragamo to the right side to Cullen Bryant. And he's out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Ray Brown there to make the tackle.
I'm going to repeat myself, and it takes a lot of character to play defense with these turnovers. You don't get a blow. It's a hot day. You start off the field, you fumble the next play. The defense, except for one play, has been playing pretty good football.
2nd down, 3 yards to go.
So it is 2nd and 3 on the 45. Peacock and Bryant behind Ferragamo. Drew Hill is the wide receiver on the right side. Ferragamo looking to the right side to Hill. It does a little back step. Gets inside the 30. He just ran around Clarence Chapman that time.
Well, Ferragamo's already had a big day. He's throwing the ball in running situations, which is smart because it eliminates the rush. He's got good protection to begin with. And with a lead like this, the quarterback is in the driver's seat. No matter what he does is the correct thing strategy-wise.
So it'll be 1st and 10 on the Saints' 27-yard line. Slot left. Drew Hill inside Willie Miller. Arnold, the tight end, is on the right side. And they split Peacock and Bryant. And grabbed by Derlin Moore as Elvis Peacock dropped at the 31-yard line. Derlin Moore, who was a walk-on, if you can believe it, way back 8 years ago in Oklahoma, went on to become a 2nd-round draft choice, and he's been a mainstay in that flex defense, which evidently is extremely difficult to learn.
I was going to bring that up earlier. Ferragamo is throwing against the flex defense, which is designed for the run. They're playing off the lines. We always, when we played Dallas, we wanted to try to throw against the flex. We felt we had a little better chance to get the pass off and better protection.
So from the Saints 29, it's 2nd down for Ferragamo. And there is Gilman making the reception at the 20-yard line. Boy, what a time play that was, because the ball was almost going to hit Gilman in the back of the head, and as he turned, it was just sitting there waiting for him.
Well, this type of execution is, there's the flex defense. See, they're off of the ball. They have 2 rushers and 2 back. Now Ferragamo throws this while the defender's back is turned, and as he threw it, the receiver looked around just in time to catch it. It was an accurate pass by Ferragamo.
Beautiful play, and it's 3rd and about 2 for Ferragamo. Here's Arnold on wing, outside Hicks, 2 tight ends on the right side. Gilman taking advantage of that formation is inside the 10. Slung out of bounds at about the 6-yard line. So Mike Gooman thrown out by Tommy Myers.
Well, here are the Rams, 2 tight ends, running wide, good blocking.
And it's child's play now.
Ferragamo set that up with a running game. Here it is. Makes a good fake to Gorman. All day to throw. Wide open. The Rams can do no wrong. Here it is again from another angle from the end zone. Good fake. Gives him time to throw. Willie Miller wide open.
For Willie Miller, his 6th touchdown reception. Ferragamo has passed for 4 touchdowns today. That gives him 18 touchdowns for the year. And since the Eagles have not scored today, except for a couple of field goals, only Danny White would be close to Ferragamo in touchdown passes now. We'll also have to check on Bartkowski by the end of the day. Well, it's not close. It is 31-0 Los Angeles, and we have 7:45 to the half.
Introducing the Cougar XR7. It's available with more than 60 special features that let you create something special. The Cougar XR7 from Lincoln Mercury. It's not like everybody else's car.
On nuclear proliferation, a candidate must remember what he has said.
When Governor Reagan has been asked about that, he makes a very disturbing comment that non-proliferation or the control of the spread of nuclear weapons is none of our business.
I have never made the statement that he suggested about nuclear proliferation.
I just don't think that it's any of our business. Unilaterally, the United States seemed to be the only nation in the
Which Ronald Reagan should we believe?
Monday on Flo, Crooked Farley's running for office, and Flo's about to run him out of the Yellow Rose.
Farley's never met a man whose money he didn't like.
Monday on the new season of Flo.
You could caption that, "Take that, Atlanta," as Willie Miller takes another touchdown pass from Ferragamo. Every time the Saints turned over the football, the Rams have cashed it in for points. It'll be Rodgers at about the 3. To the 15, 20, Jimmy still on his feet, bumped into Brooke Williams at tight end, and down he goes at about the 30-yard line, where the Saints will put it in play.
Then you were speaking of Danny White. He threw a 28-yard touchdown pass, and now Dallas is ahead 27-24 over St. Louis. Threw it to Tony Hill.
But when you talk about touchdown passes, of course, you immediately think of Ferragamo and White and Jaworski. So the Saints put it in play. 1st and 10 on their 28. 31-0 Los Angeles. Second man, Jimmy Rodgers, trying to get outside Jim Youngblood, and Pat Thomas just cut his legs out from under him.
Great defense by the Rams. They penetrated, they got across, they strung the play out, allowed Pat Thomas to make the play. I know what Pat Hayden is thinking on the sidelines, Ben. He's thinking, boy, oh boy, I'm going to have to get in there and play today.
I wouldn't want to use the word have, though. After all, he's dying to play, isn't he?
Well, that's Don Hewitt, the equipment manager.
2nd and 8 on the Saints 30-yard line. And Archie Manning swallowed up by Larry Brooks at the 20-yard line.
Well, you know, Ben, this is an interesting thing. Here's a sack. Last year, the Saints were #1 in the NFL in the sacks ratio. They had 46 sacks on offense, and they only allowed 17 on defense for a +29. They were #1 in the NFL on sacks.
And Manning had already been sacked 22 times going into this game, and they've only played 8 games this year, so they've had a complete breakdown. 3rd and 19 from the 22. Rodgers the sole setback behind Manning. Archie looking to the left and throws to Harris with Rod Perry all over him, and the pass is incomplete.
Well, the Saints, the Rams dogged the Saints and was one-on-one coverage, and Rod Perry was right with them.
Perry has 4 interceptions this year, one back of Turner and teammate Nolan Cromwell. So Russell Erxleben will be punting yet again, and Mike Gooman standing on the Ram 35-yard line. Rams are not coming, and Erxleben gets off a good one. Gooman will make the reception at the 39. Boxed in and dropped.
You know,
Jim Peterzak, who used to play for the Giants, made the tackle.
Yeah. From a coaching standpoint, it gives you a chance to use all your players. Guys that haven't been playing, get some experience, and it's very valuable down the line.
Hold it. Hey, guys. Oh, I
stop fooling around. Calm down. Hold it down. I mean, this is the first Lite Beer alumni picture, okay? A little respect. All right, everybody here? Everybody who is somebody. Oh, very clever. All right, smile, will you?
Knock it off, Billy. You need this job.
Are you guys ready? Hold it, hold it. Stay like that. Hold it. Now, just be yourselves. Calm down, calm down. Hold it.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
The closest you can come to playing real gin rummy is Entex Electronic Gin Rummy.
Little lady, it seems you beating the pants off me.
The closest you can come to playing real football is Entex Electronic Football.
Back to work.
The closest you can come to playing real pinball is Entex Electronic Raise the Devil Pinball.
You lose, punk.
No, I win. Entex, the electronic games nobody can come close to.
Hi, I'm Joe Theismann. Don't remain on the sidelines this election day. Get out and vote for the candidates of your choice. Remember, your vote can make a difference. Thank you.
The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. For the Rams, leading 31-0, 6 minutes and 3 seconds left to go in the half. 1st and 10 on the Ram 42-yard line. The last time they had the ball on a David Waymer fumble, they won from their own 47 for a touchdown to Willie Miller. So we'll see what they do starting on their own 42. Miller goes wide left. Drew Hill is wide right. And they'll go up the middle with Mike Gooman, and he carries it across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Gooman, 6'2", 210-pounder out of Penn State.
You know, then the Saints, it seems like the Saints are in a process of rebuilding. They're in a transition period. We thought they had a possibility of a playoff team last year, didn't you?
They were 8-8, and remember they had beaten the Rams, and we saw them play some exciting games, but ever since they lost opening day, it's been all downhill. 2nd and 4 from the 48. And it'll be Colin Bryant, who ran away from Kent Hill and on his own gets across the St. 45. Kent Hill pulled to lead the way, but Bryant just went on his own.
Let's take a look at Colin Bryant's running style. He's a power runner with speed, a veer play, makes a fake to the offside, protects the ball, very seldom fumbles, and lowers the boom, drags a couple of tacklers.
A lot of people forget that Colin Bryant was an All-American defensive back at Colorado. In fact, he was a defensive back his rookie year, and then last year he reached the height, scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. Now they'll try Gooman with Cullen blocking for him, and Gooman is to the 30-yard line, and Ray Brown brings him down at the 25.
Well, you know what Gooman showed on that play now? From the I formation, he's a good pick-a-hole runner. Now the toss was a little bit behind him. Now watch him read daylight and cut back. Shows that he has good vision to read his blocks. He does a lot of this on his own. I can see why the Rams kept that guy.
Gooman has one touchdown this year. It was a 6-yard burst against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's getting a chance to play, giving some of the other fellas a rest. So 1st and 10. On the Saints' 26-yard line. And it's Bryant all alone to the 10. And he's out of bounds at the 6-yard line as David Waymer pushed him out of bounds.
Well, the Saints defense is collapsing now. This is just a weak side slant, nothing fancy. 1-for-1 blocking. Watch Bryant use the straight arm here. Pretty good straight arm. See him shoot the head back.
David Waymer, the kid who took that straight arm, he played flanker at Notre Dame and then 2 years a corner. David has a brother who's a quarterback at South Carolina State, so he might hear from the kid brother as well. So here come the Rams, and it's Mike Gooman inside the 5. Once again, Brown making the tackle after he shed the block from Cullen Bryant.
Well, the reason he didn't make any yardage on that is that the defense, Saints defense, got across the line of scrimmage, forced him to cut back or try to outrun him to the sidelines.
Ferragamo is 9 for 15, 175 yards and 4 touchdowns. It has been an absolute fat man's picnic so far.
Right now on defense, the defense doesn't know whether to stop the run or the pass. They're totally on defense.
Second and goal from the 4. Ryan and Gooman behind Ferragamo. And it'll be Gooman. And they pinch him right at the line of scrimmage. Kovac, Jim Kovac, bringing him down.
Well, they're staying in there. You got to give them credit. They've been on defense most of the first half, and they're holding their own pretty good.
It's really not been the defensive side's problem.
It has not.
Those horrendous turnovers by the offense, giving the Rams additional time with the football, and they have sure made the most of it.
You know, the Saints, over the years, have usually played the Rams pretty well, whether it's here or...
And how? Especially there.
Yes.
And they've beaten them the last 2 times here in Los Angeles. Third and goal. Miller left and Drew Hill wide right. Ferragamo over the middle. No good. Frank Corral will come in and go for the field goal attempt, in case you were wondering about that. Leading 31-0. The Rams will not force for the touchdown, but accept what would appear to be the easy 3.
Right. You would do that no matter what the score was at this stage of a ball game, so that's the correct call. Go for the field goal.
With 2 minutes and 17 seconds left to go at the half,
Frank Corral will attempt the 22-yard field goal.
the spot will be from the 13, so it's a 23-yard field goal attempt. The hold by Cromwell, and it is blocked. And coming in was Reggie Mathis to block it and knock it out of bounds. So Mathis comes bursting through, the trumpet player out of Oklahoma.
And it was a low kick, a very low trajectory. Watch this. A low kick, and Mathis comes through unblocked. Watch him come through, get his hands up. No trajectory in that kick at all.
You know the numbers so far in this game. Total offense for the Saints, 76 yards. Total offense for the Rams, 295.
Motorcraft, for sure. Motorcraft, for sure.
How do you make the great lineup of Motorcraft parts even better? You've already got batteries with sure power, hot firing spark plugs, and a full line of filters. So how do you make it better? Just add oil. Introducing Motorcraft Oil, formulated to stabilize oxidation and reduce wear. Rated SF, it meets the most advanced engineering standards set for the 80s. You can be sure of it.
Motorcraft, for sure.
Hi, I'm Fran Tarkenton with a great new game. It's Kenner's fantastic new live-action football. It sure beats those old blips and dots games. Play the computer or a friend. You see and control all the action. You see the tackles, you make them. There are interceptions, conversions, safeties. Live-action football makes me feel I'm back in the game. Who says I can't win the big one, huh, guys? Electronic live-action football, new from Kenner.
Live, undefeated champion Hilmer Kenty blasts away with Bilamar Fernandez for the WBA Lightweight Championship next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
31-0 Rams, 2 minutes and 10 seconds to the half, and the Saints have it 1st and 10 from their own 25. Ike Harris goes wide left, Wes Chandler goes wide right. Manning cranking it up and going deep to Harris, knocked in the air, deflected by Cromwell, and he can't hold on to it. Rod Perry battling Harris, and Nolan Cromwell had his hand on it, and when we say hand, remember, he has a bad hand.
A good call, going for the bomb. Now, Ike Harris has the height advantage. Ike's 6'2" or 6'3" over Perry. The ball's a little bit short, flutters a little bit. See, he has Perry beaten, but he has to wait and come back for that ball. If the ball is throwing long, he has a chance for a touchdown. Good play by Perry, and a good play by Nolan Cromwell, 21, to come over there and help out.
As you saw, Cromwell's right hand is heavily bandaged. Otherwise, he might have one-handed. 2nd and 10 from the 25. Manning throwing low to Ike Harris with Pat Thomas defending. Manning, for whatever reason, does not have any zip.
Well, normally his strong arm, he wouldn't underthrow Ike Harris in that previous play. He hurried himself on that last throw and threw it low into the ground. He's done that several times today.
So we're into the 2-minute warning, with the Rams leading New Orleans 31-0.
You don't have to be a genius to change your own oil and filter and save yourself up to $10. Valvoline Motor Oil shows you exactly how quick and easy it is with step-by-step change instructions on the back of Valvoline cans. It's really quite simple. Once you get the hang of it, just see for yourself, then do for yourself. No wonder more and more drivers are changing their own oil and filters and changing to Valvoline. It's a smart way to save up to 10 bananas without a lot of monkeying around. Right, Val?
I'm Mike Colbreaker, State Farm Agent, Carlisle, Illinois, speaking for thousands of State Farm agents across the country. One of the many reasons people keep coming to State Farm Insurance is because we service what we sell, and we do it on a personal, one-to-one basis. Service is what State Farm is all about, and service is what State Farm agents are all about.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Monday on Flo, Crooked Farley's running for office, and Flo's about to run him out of the Yellow Room.
Farley's never met a man whose money he didn't like.
Monday on the new season of Flo.
3rd and 10 for the Saints on their own 25-yard line. The Rams leading 31-0. A minute and 57 to the half. Tinker Owens in a slot right inside Chandler. Harris is wide left. Jimmy Rogers all alone behind Manning. And Manning to Brooke Williams, the tight end, who makes the reception at the 45-yard line with Rod Perry on his back.
And then the Rams are going with a 4-man rush, which is a smart thing to do. 3 is not enough. Gives the quarterback too much time. They're going with a 4-man rush.
76! That's right! They run 76!
And Manning over the middle of Williams, and the tight end is upended, this time by Jeff Delaney at about the 37-yard line. And another first down. We have about a minute and 21 to the half. And a timeout, New Orleans.
This is a very interesting part of football, the 2-minute drill. Certain quarterbacks are very clever
Who's
at it.
the best you ever saw at it?
I thought Kilmer was. Billy Kilmer was excellent in the 2-minute drill. Had command of the team, used his timeouts properly.
Staubach was excellent.
Oh, Roger Staubach. I was talking about players that I had. Yeah, Staubach was very good. Roman Gabriel was a good 2-minute quarterback. Manning, right here, knows what he wants to do in it. We had to review that 2-minute drill twice every week. We'd review it early on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, then we review it Saturday morning. And you can't get enough of that. Now, only 2 players are allowed to take time out. Usually your quarterback and a receiver downfield, because if a pass is completed downfield 30, 40 yards, that player...
The Rams had a mix-up last week because Ferragamo either forgot or said he didn't know that he was given the duty.
Well, that Ferragamo, the quarterback, should know that. That's what the 2-minute drill's for. Also, one Ram player, I think it was a lineman, tried to take time out. Well, unless you're designated before the game to the referee, only those players designated can call timeout.
Well, we're in the 2-minute drill for the Saints. Actually, 1 minute and 21 seconds to the half. Vin Scully along with George Allen, not bringing you much of a game, but it's the game we've got. And it's 31-0 Los Angeles. So the Rams on the defensive for a little while here as Archie Manning tries to come up with a 7 before the half runs out. Tinker Owens in the slot left inside Chandler. Ike Harris is right, but they go on the ground to Jimmy Rogers. Now, is that a shot?
That's a wasted play. First of all, you're behind 31-0. You're in your 2-minute drill. You've got to throw the ball. You want to get on the board at least. That's a waste time and wasted play.
2nd and 10. Manning overthrowing Jimmy Rogers coming out of the backfield. Jim Youngblood was right there with him.
Well, that was an afterthought. He wanted to go downfield. Nobody open. He dumped it off to Rogers.
You know, when we asked Jimmy Rogers before the game, and you can see that Jim Youngblood is healthy enough to be out there and stay on him. We were asking Rogers what his running speed was, and he said when he was at Oklahoma he was timed at 4.4. And he was also timed at 4.5. And then with a sheepish grin on his face, he said, I guess you could say it depends upon who's chasing me. Well, he has been chased today. He's carried 8 times for just 21 yards, coming off 114 yards last week against Washington. 3rd and 8 on the Ram 34. Tony Galbraith is in there now for Rogers. And that one intended for Tinker Owens, broken up by Nolan Cromwell. You might remember his brother, Steve Owens, a Heisman Trophy winner way back in '69, and I think there's a flag on the play.
Downfield, flag downfield on the defense against the Rams. Automatic first down. He did the right thing, then he was covered. He overthrew him, put it up high. If he has a chance to make a great catch, it's safe.
Number 37, first down.
So the holding against Ivory Sully, that'll be good enough for a first down for the Saints on the Ram 29-yard line. Hey, you Saints fan back in New Orleans, you know Tinker Owens. What's his first name? You're right, Charles. Got away from Jack Youngblood, and the pass intended for Brooks Williams with Johnny Johnson defending.
Well, what the Rams did on defense that time, they figured Manning's had too much time to throw, so they blitzed him, forced him to throw the ball a little bit off balance. Now he steps up. Good defensive position.
So it is 2nd and 10 on the Ram 29, 43 seconds to the half. And it is 31-0 Los Angeles. Wes Chandler goes wide left. Tinker Owens in a slot left. Harris goes wide right, and now Tinker Owens is in motion, picked up by Nolan Cromwell. Manning hit by Reggie Doss, but throws it in the end zone. No good. Intended for Ike Harris, and Wes Chandler in there, with Johnson and Delaney defending.
Well, Manning's going for the bomb. Delaney has the ball intercepted, and it's knocked loose in the collision.
And the Rams will have a breather because there's a Saint shaken up on the play. I assume that would be Ike Harris, who was the deep man on the pass.
Probably is.
Harris and Chandler were down there.
The ball was throwing too long. I don't think either. Here it is again. I don't think that either one would have had a chance for a touchdown. It could have been intercepted.
Remember, we saw Billy Waddy brush into the goalpost. Let's see this now. That's Harris, a sandwich. Now he rolls over.
That's Chandler, 89, but he's all right.
Yeah, it's Harris. Watch him rolling over in pain. So Ike Harris.
I've always liked him, Ben. He did some good work for the Cardinals before he came over here. We used to worry about Ike Harris because he jumps so well for the ball, and he's got that added height advantage over most defensive corners.
In the deal that involved Bob Pollard and Terry Steve, Ike Harris came to New Orleans with Conrad Dobler.
That was a heck of a trade for the Saints when you look back on it, because, again, you mentioned Dobler. Dobler had something. Just because a man has bad knees or something doesn't mean he can't play next year or the year after. I had a guy named Lenny Hoss who played 12 years on bad knees. Dobler was a tough, physical guy, and that's the type of lineman you want on offense. Most of those offensive linemen are a little bit passive, and Dobler had a defensive attitude on offense.
Ike Harris, as you can see, slowly being assisted off the field. Harris is 28. He went to school at Iowa State, and he's had 6 years in the NFL.
He's a good football player and a fine person. I hope he's okay. They need him.
He's 6'3", and he was caught in that sandwich and evidently got the worst of it. So they lost Rich Maudie. He went out with a fractured elbow, and I assume he will be lost for the remainder of the year. Ike Harris is banged up. He has to come out. And for Dick Nolan and the scrappy Saints, things just seem to go from bad to worse.
3rd and 10. Let's see if he tries to get the first down.
Tinker Owens goes wide left. Wes Chandler wide right. Wilson and Rogers behind Manning. And Manning throwing to Tinker Owens. And Owens makes the reception, taking it away from Johnny Johnson at the 3-yard line.
Manning did a heck of a job here. He's under a rush, and they have a delivery sack on him just as he releases the ball. He really gets belted by Murphy, 95. A corner pattern, good throw, good route.
First and goal from the 3. And the Saints started to line up. Additional players started to run on the field. And Manning now has called his team back to regroup.
28 seconds.
So with 28 seconds to the half, 31-0 Rams. Tinker Owens wide left, Chandler wide right. Manning to Chandler, and Chandler caught it coming out of the end zone.
There was a whistle. Whistle before the play was snapped, before the ball was snapped.
So let's watch Jim Tunney. The Saints sending in some fresh personnel. Hardy and Childs, 2 tight ends coming in.
Defense,
Williams and Chandler coming in.
Still first down.
Well,
12 men on the field for the Rams.
That's a good defense if he can get away with it. Manning likes to sprint out here. Sprint out to his right. It's a good call, too, in this situation.
So first and goal from the 2. 24 seconds to the half. 31-0 Rams. Hardy, Williams, and Childs. 3 tight ends. And Manning to Rogers. Touchdown.
Pretty good.
So Jimmy Rogers handling the pass. For Rogers, that's his first touchdown receiving. He scored 1 rushing last week.
Sprinting out, partial rollout to his right, dumps it off to Rogers, and Rogers does this on his own. He's hit by Doss behind the line, wiggles in for the score.
Ike Harris has a bruised hip, and it's just questionable as to whether he'll be able to come back.
Well, that's
now
good.
Benny Ricardo.
Good news, man.
With Tommy Myers holding the spot and the kick, and it's good. So it is small consolation, but it is consolation in itself as Ricardo trots off the field. We have 19 seconds to the half. The Rams 31 and the New Orleans Saints 7.
Well, that does a lot for your ball club. You're behind 31.
Does it really?
Yes.
Honestly?
You go in that locker room and you haven't given up. You know, it's so easy for some of these ball clubs that are out of it already just to play out the clock, go through the motions. And that shows some character, some leadership on Manning's part. Fine 2-minute drill. I like to see that.
So with 19 seconds to the half, New Orleans kicking off.
They should go for an onside kick. They have nothing to lose. Gamble, go all out on everything.
Gerald Thomas and Drew Hill will be deep for the Rams. And let's see if the Saints will try some onside shenanigans here.
Benny Ricardo will kick off.
Benny Ricardo teeing it up to 35. Rams 31, New Orleans 7. 19 seconds left to the half. The Rams not only doing things on their own, but capitalizing on Saints miscues. Got out to a 31-0 lead. And in the 2-minute drill, Manning finally took him in on the pass to Jimmy Rogers to make it 31-7. And now let's see about a possible onside kick. Nope. So Gerald Thomas going deep makes an over-the-shoulder reception at the 5. Boxed in by Jim Marshall, and Marshall rides him out of bounds.
11 seconds left to play in the half.
Gerald Thomas, a rookie from San Jose State who was a transfer from UCLA. Gerald spells that name J-E-W-E-R-L, but it comes out Gerald. And he was run out of bounds by James Marshall, a rookie out of Jackson State.
Let's see what Ferragamo does.
11 seconds to the half, 31-7 Rams. Drew Hill wide right, Willie Miller wide left, and it's Cullen Bryant holding on to the ball for dear life. We mentioned last week Cullen has only fumbled. Well, he's fumbled less than 10 times in 9 years.
And he had 2 hands on the ball. Very good. Don't give him anything at the end of the half. Smart play. Run the ball. You're ahead. Go in ahead. Don't give him a break and give him more encouragement.
So it's halftime at Anaheim with the Rams leading New Orleans 31-7.